Look, with that out of the way, it's probably time to start focusing on the first matchup of the day. And Xenox, I'll let you run us through the Chiefs and Fury here. Just overall thoughts as we head into what will be the discussion.
Well, obviously, as I mentioned before, Chiefs coming into this one as the favoured team, and they were pretty good 2 days ago against the Direwolves on Bank. It was a 3-3 first half. Signs were great. Bouncing, of course, who has made his return all the way from stage 2 of last year and now playing again at the highest level now as well in the region. So I thought he honestly slotted in very well, and they went up against a very, very good Direwolves. So the 7-5 scoreline, not really entirely indicative of the fact that, you know, the Chiefs walked away with 0 points. They definitely deserved something from that. I think that moving forward for this stage, top 4 at minimum needs to be gained, and you've got to be beating a team like Fury to achieve that. So I think Fury's going to have a lot of work to do in this particular matchup. They got taught a lesson by IG back on Playday 1. I think the biggest thing for the Chiefs here is making sure that they don't let that one result affect them. You just, okay, whatever. And I think they know they played well for the most part against Direwolves and just didn't quite get the, you know, the chocolates to go their way. They'll know if they play in a similar manner again, they should be able to beat Fury. Well,
that probably is the bigger point of discussion here, Guz, is, you know, leaning off the back of yesterday's, Thursday's match, and conversation Xenox is obviously poking and prodding out there. It wasn't like they played awfully. And I think that maybe that might be, I don't know, maybe I might be giving them a little bit too much there, but certainly coming into this one, they've got to be favorites, right?
I would think so, yeah. The Chiefs overall, to me, seem to be a better rounded roster heading into this game. They have, you know, the experienced shoulders. They have the players that can back up those players. And just to, again, reiterate, Bouncing yesterday, alongside Boydie, one of the new additions to the roster, actually performing really well. He went 15-10. 3-1 on the entry as well, so he was having a clear impact for this roster. And we saw yesterday Fury really struggled against that sort of potent mechanical aggression and confidence from IG. So if the Chiefs can embody that a little bit, I think they're going to probably roll them here.
Well, it's time to look at Fury and dissect them a little bit more, Xenox. As much as we like to butt heads at the end of the broadcast on Thursday night, where it's all just a bit of fun and games. Give me your overall thoughts. I mean, this is one of the only rosters. Actually, it's the only one. Yeah, it's the only returning roster. Obviously, the Last Dance we're kind of leaving out of that conversation. That is still the full 5. And the big question for me was, did they perform up to it? I just don't know.
No, and I think that was probably a part of why I said it was a very disappointing result. Obviously, you know, we played it up and we had some fun, but the biggest thing is when you've got a same core 5 and you've had that same core 5 for a little while over the break, and then on top of that, every other team has made roster changes. Even more so, IG bringing in 3 new players, you would hope that that stability that you've got in a team would be able to do you some favors, and it just did not look like it. Now you could sit back and say, okay, IG's pickups were great, they've got a lot of firepower, and it all just clicked for them in the opening Playday, but Fury's just got to be better. These guys, of course, we know what they're capable of. They've made playoffs, I think it was back in stage 2, and they've been 5th in the other stages. So they're always thereabouts, that sort of middle of the pack team that can get results almost against anyone on their given night. And that's what makes them so difficult to predict. They're the embodiment of APAC South. You don't know what you're going to get. They could very easily win this game against the Chiefs. Now, I'm not saying they're the favorite team to do so, but when you've got players like Producer Boom, when you've got players like Spacehead, they can go off on a given night, and in a best of 1, Fury can win against just about anyone. They just don't do it enough. They're a very inconsistent team for a team that has a stable core roster. So, look, I'd like to see them do well, and I just don't know if it's going to be against the Chiefs. They've got the Knights in Playday 3. That's where I'd be looking to see them get 3 points.
Here's a little... Oh, yeah, go.
I'll just butt in really quickly there. I think for me, and you know, win conditions, it's a bit of a meme amongst us, but the serious win condition for Fury is here. They need to win attacking rounds. They didn't get a single attacking round in the last play day. The defensive win rate was sitting at 63% across the day, so it's not like attacker repick has come in and majorly shifted that win rate a lot. So for me, Fury on their attacks, that's going to be the gauge as to whether or not they can win this.
All right, well, as we're going to look at the vetoes right now, I'm also just going to make a comment and make of this what you will. The last 3 times we've seen these 2 teams play off, it was a 7-0 to the Chiefs in the very first bout in Stage 1. Stage 2 was 7-1 to what was XQ Confirm, obviously now Fury, and then it was a 7-5 close match in Stage 3. So I guess, I don't know if that gives you any context heading into this game. I don't know if that's indicative. It's kind of hard when we've got Chiefs having such a shuffle, but we'll look at that in a bit more depth depth maybe when the casters come on. So let's have a look at the vetoes, see where we're going to be heading for this map, guys. I'll give it back to you there because I'm sure you've got the stat tracker open. Theme Park just narrowly missing out. We've had Skyscraper finished last twice now, and now Theme Park's coming in right at the very end. Chiefs are not interested. We head to Chalet. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so interesting enough, Chalet is not one of the stronger maps for Chiefs, at least historically looking at data, but it's, again, so difficult to really translate that data across. Keep in mind, that was quite a different squad to what we have now, and arguably Chiefs, they are probably a little bit more frag heavy and aggressive to what they once were, so maybe Chalet should be an improvement. A little bit disappointing that they didn't want to head us to Theme Park. I think Fury probably allowed that through being quite comfortable on that map. Clearly, they've probably they've practiced it and they're ready, but maybe Chiefs just not wanting to reveal it, and that's the beauty, you know, the best of nine map pool, rather, you can simplify that. In a best of 9, we'd be here all night. We wouldn't finish before 10. In terms of Fury for Chalet, again, very limited data, so I don't really want to go into that too much, but yeah, I think for me the interesting thing is we didn't see Theme brought out by the Chiefs.
Xenox, any fun facts from you?
Well, I mean, sort of touching on the Chalet for the Chiefs, they have actually won it last 2 times that they played it in the OCN finals. So I guess you could look at that and say maybe there's improvement there. But as Guz also mentioned, when you have that new roster and you've got some new players, you kind of throw a lot of that out of the window, right? I think Chalet historically is actually a good map for a lot of the OCE teams. It does get played quite extensively by them too. So I'd say this is fine for the Chiefs. They got to decide whether they wanted to go to theme. Lo and behold, no surprise, teams avoiding the new maps for a while, which is not really going to be surprising. They need probably almost, I'm going to say, the entirety of stage 1 before we may see any of them, if we are to see any, maybe in the back end of the stage. But Chalet's a little bit more comfortable, and it's not like, I mean, I actually don't even know. Q confirmed we don't have them on the old DevMarta stat tracker. That's my fault, not his. But yeah, don't know their actual recent history on Chalet.
Is that it? That's all you've got to say? Okay, well, I'm glad.
Look how useless I am without Dev. Can I just say that? I'll just say that.
You are really digging yourself
you could
a hole
cut that
here.
sentence a bit short and we'd probably still get a pretty good answer as well.
Oh, don't do that to me, Michael. Come on.
Yeah, you know what? Let's get rid of the use.
I'm already down to the dumps.
We'll get you to the... there we go. I got there in the end. We'll get rid of the useless bunch and we'll bring in the useful bunch in Raven and Dev. We'll see in a bit.
Yeah, look, thanks, guys. I feel like we're pretty ready for the game. It is Fury XQ confirmed taking on the Chiefs, and it looks like overall people are heavily favoring the Chiefs, the Aussie boys, for this game. Well, the Aussie and Kiwi boys. That said, last two times these two teams played, Q confirmed did get the better of Chiefs.
Yeah, I guess it's based on the results from Playday 1. You know, Chiefs, while they have made some significant roster changes, it was a very close loss for them. And I think just in general, thinking about Stage 3 overall, they seemed to peak towards the end of last year. I think it's hard to look past it when you're out on top of the fact that Fury didn't look super hot against IG on Playday 1. So yeah, I feel like it's warranted for everybody to kind of feel a lot more faith in Chiefs coming into this game.
Well, the community certainly is, as you can see, 60-40 split, a fairly tight poll for this match, but let's dive straight into the operator ban phase, keeping in mind that Thorn is now in play, and we have seen a little bit of Thorn in Playday 1. Now, I'm interested to hear your take, Raven. A lot of people don't see Thorn as this outrageous operator that's going to storm and through and appear a lot, but we have seen her picked occasionally.
Yeah, there's the occasional pick. Whether to say that's based around the utility, I think that's a bit tricky. I feel like at this stage, she's kind of niche in the way that she's used in competitive, and it's probably more of a weapon comfort pick, because that Uzi can absolutely slap down an opponent very easily and very comfortably. It's a really comfortable gun to use. So it could be the one where it's like, all right, a player wants to be unleashed on the roam. Hey, go on the Thorn, use the Uzi, maybe you can net a couple of kills, and that's the kind of the strategy around it.
Nomad banned out by Fury does make you think that maybe they want to be playing kind of aggressive, going for a lot of flanks and roams. Chiefs are going to have to lock that down with drones, with players hard watching those flanks rather than relying on that Nomad. But funnily enough, as we can see so far, Thatcher has managed to slip through the ban phase, as has Valkyrie. So a lot of your staple bans managing to stay alive, and look, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them continuing through here.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot more variance so far in Stage 1 of 2022 in terms of those operator bans. In particular, yeah, Valkyrie seems to be starting to fall back through into play. I think that's it's cool. There has obviously been some changes with Valkyrie in terms of her cameras, but regardless, internally, her camera is still very helpful, and you know, some teams are very good at utilizing her effectively. In this instance, though, doesn't look like she's going to be played on the defense. I'm not seeing anything too outstanding from Chiefs' defense lineup. Looks fairly what you would expect for this kitchen dining defense. Going to be certainly favoring quite a heavy vertical presence, because that is really a key for holding this site. Is you need to deny that vertical control from the attackers, as that can really mince up your positioning on site.
Speaking of vertical, a lot of pressure upstairs. Like you're saying, a lot of investment from the Chiefs. Worthy placing a Surya gate. Ethan reinforcing a lot of these walls up here. No open hold of office. Sometimes you'll see the northernmost, so the right-facing wall looking towards the reading hallway, or left from where we're looking right now, would have some feet holes or some lines of sight, just to allow teams to utilize that angle to get a crossfire on players taking piano, but not so this time around. And look, might not have much of an impact. Fury seem to be focusing on more so the north and east sides of the map to clear from Solar and maybe the balcony, rather than trying to take from Library across.
Yeah, I think that's a good identification actually from Fury, because to your point, that's the library push across is the standard, and yeah, maybe you would normally use the footholds, but I think Chief's rationale there is, you know what, let them actually come into piano. They had line of sight set up from, I think it was the small closet, in towards that hallway to kind of counter that. But already, Dev, we're seeing some gunfights come out in the first minute. 2 frags off the board, it's trades, but Fury, they're bouncing ahead as Hajime takes out Bouncin'. And wow, it's action-packed first minute here.
Yeah, how often do you see half the players left alive in the roster, in the entire server rather, when there's only 2 minutes remaining? It's certainly been an aggressive start to this opening round. Fury looked to have an advantage. Hajime found a double, but traded back. I would say this almost favors the Chiefs here. That said, Fury still have the soft breach. They still have Sledge's hammer on Spacehead, which means if they are able to take control of this top floor, they'll still be able to engage the vertical play.
I think when I compare operators remaining, I feel like Fury ahead, actually. I feel like they have such a versatile 3 in the books here, because they've got like Collis with the hard reach, and as you said, a lot of verticality still to play, as well as some strong weapons and strong fraggers. You know, these 3 players on Fury that are still up are certainly known to have some really big games and big plays in the past. So coming into this last minute, I think they're going to feel fairly confident with the control they've gained and the pressure they've kind of put back onto the Chiefs for holding this one down.
Feeling a bit of pressure are the Chiefs players, figuring out exactly what map control they still have. Worthy on the roam. I believe he was spotted out in Snowmobile Garage, and he rotates back up the blue stairs. Fury for now really starting to have a bit of a pinch, a bit of pressure onto this trophy kitchen, West Main, with a lot of angles opened between these areas. Fury having the stronger long-range weapons, they should be advantaged here.
Definitely should. Less than 30 seconds now. Chiefs playing very tight positions. A nice little crossfire there from Boydie and from Digital to try and repel them. Worthy on the lurk, but final 20 seconds, Fury have to make it happen.
And the time is just ticking down. Now Spacehead's on flank watch duty, but just misses Worthy. 10 seconds left, and Fury are the ones who have to get a move on. Worthy may well have timed this absolutely perfectly. No shot that Lycolis lands this. It'd have to be a nutty 1v3 clutch, and Digital can make that dream swiftly depart from his mind. And that is a nice little retake there for the Chiefs. 3v0 and the first round.
It's really unfortunate for Fury, because I felt like they started that one really well. You know, the really early contest to take out a couple of Chiefs players and get themselves some much needed vertical map control. I felt like they didn't really use it in the end. You know, Digital ended up having quite an impact. So he was sitting in a very vulnerable position in dining. Vertical player on the Sledge, for example, could have easily shut that one down and at least made something more comfortable for an execute, because what we saw was about 30 to 40 seconds of stall out from Fury once they really had that control before they tried to go for the execute. By then, Worthy on that flank kind of made it all too late for Fury to win that one.
think it shows that Fury, they might have a lot of gusto at the start of the round. They really like getting in there early. But when it comes to that latter half of the round, the execute's lacking somewhat. They didn't have a lot of conviction. They probably didn't... you got to put it on comms, right? You got to put it on the communication, on the call from whoever it is on Fury that has to make that call. The buck stops with the in-game leader. They're the ones who have to say, guys, this is what we're going to go for. We're going to do this, and for better or for worse, let's commit. Fury lacked that in the last portion of the round.
5 seconds to insertion.
Absolutely did. And something they're going to have to really work on. And Guz identified it beautifully on the desk. Fury struggled with their attacks on Playday 1. And here, look, it started good, but they still couldn't close out an attack round. So it's certainly something we're going to be keeping a close eye on, because it seems like it's going to be the key for them. If they want to be getting some wins, they've got to be winning these attack rounds. They can't rely all on that defense. So what can they pull out here on round 2 of Chalet?
Quite a contrast between these two teams in terms of what's happened during the off-season, isn't there? Fury have retained the exact same 5-man roster, the only team from APAC South 2021 to do so into 2022. And Chiefs, in contrast, after what was a really successful year, switched up 2 players, brought on 2 relative rookies, Bounson and Boydie. Both have proven at a national level to be really deadly players. And while Chiefs didn't win their first game, a 7-5 loss to Direwolves isn't anything to be too disappointed about. They're looking to rack up some points here against Fury.
The early contest goes in favor of Chiefs. It's Ethan standing up that time with the FMG 9, in fact, on the smoke player. And right here, they're stacking this up. We're seeing so much action coming out in this opening phase of the rounds, at least through the first 2 here. But Fury certainly not favored at this point. Chiefs putting themselves in a very strong position.
Producer Brim just waiting for someone to cross his rotation cut, but not given any opportunity to find a free kill as of yet. Don't believe he will be afforded that opportunity at any point.
See Chiefs playing fairly spread out. Digital even playing a vertical from below. Producer Boom lucky to survive that kind of pre-fire. It sounded like it came from Ethan's weapon. And this is just looking all quite challenging for Fury. They're starting to scramble, reposition a little bit. Spacehead coming on the pinch kind of position. Looks like he's going to start to hassle from these windows over on the north side, or the west side, so to speak. And Fury desperately need to try and find an opening as they come into this last minute.
But they're just waiting. Very similar to last round. Fury sitting outside the building without what appears to be a clear idea of how to actually address this defense from the Chiefs. Once again, Fury will just bide their time. Starting to flash out, starting to counter some of this util, this setup. Worthy's being a nuisance here to the poor player on the bathroom window. And, well, I mean, it's just a matter of time before Fury eventually jumps in and dies. Surely that Spacehead going down, that was the player on the main double window, I believe. Ethan's found Producer Boom, like Colas, the last man left, likely to walk into a frost mat if he's not too careful. But before that can happen, Boydie gets the better of him. And, well, there you go. Another strong round, a flawless one, in fact, for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that one really derailed very, very quickly there. That first kind of opening 2 kills from Chiefs on the roam really put a nail on the top of the coffin for Fury. And I don't know, it's certainly concerning, Dev. They looked very lost after they lost those 2 players. And look, it's certainly a devastating blow. But from that point on, I don't know, Fury just didn't look like they had any chance in that round. But look, they've still got 4 to go in the half. Chalet known to be decent for attackers in the past. So maybe there is something that they just need to get clicking here so they can start to rack up some scores on the scoreboard.
What do you think about Fury so far, Raven? I mean, not inspired, not filled with confidence.
No.
I mean, and you could say that for my opinion of them as much as their nature in-game. They don't really seem to be very confident, do they? I mean, with the exception of those few moments where they're sitting around looking at themselves thinking, hey, let's just go. And at the start of the round, they've got multiple players in the building fragging out or dying. I mean, yeah, that's confidence. Is it justified confidence? Perhaps not.
Yeah, look, hard to say, honestly. But these first 2 play days aren't looking too great. I think the biggest thing that I'm feeling like is they just look uncoordinated, to be quite blunt. It just feels like there's a lot of disjointedness in the way that they're approaching things. Even if everybody can cast their mind back to Playday 1, the clutch that Nate got, sure, he performed pretty well, but it was also very poorly played by Fury, very frantic and just looked chaotic at best. I think they really need to work on tightening things up as a team in general because they are skilled players. It's just, I think, a lot to do with coordination.
And it's easy to look with a critical eye right now, but don't forget, yes, these two teams have a long and storied history. In Stage 1 last year, so a year ago, Chiefs beat Fury 7-0. Next time they met, Fury won 7-1. And then in Stage 3, it was a much closer game, but Fury still won. So in theory, they have the head-to-head advantage. Chiefs, though, certainly not making it look like that so far in this game.
So first minute in with no opening kills this time. It's the first for the match today. And Fury just certainly taking their time now to figure out exactly how they're going to approach this. Of course, with a bar gaming defense, Chiefs having that really strong vertical presence in towards library and around the library stairs and even mezzanine. So Fury taking their time to get up and start to approach that. And honestly, that's already a bit concerning for me. 90 seconds in, halfway through the round, they've only just got this office piano control. They have to fight hard to push out these Chiefs players. You know, they're fairly comfortable positions, aided by shields here. It's not going to be easy or quick to deal with unless they manage to get, you know, some really spicy quick picks.
This is definitely where you're seeing the Flores ban come into effect as well. Chiefs getting rid of that operator in the operator veto means that Fury is going to have to play the game of projectiles to try and clear these shields. Boy, on the warden. Oh my God, what was that? A quick peek and then a drop off. Nice early advantage for the Chiefs, but is it really so early? 50 seconds left and counting and slipping away. Fury need to get a move on.
Like, it feels early because that was really the first solid engagement we actually saw. And right here, Chiefs have done such a great job holding this roam. They weren't really contested, to be fair, but final 30 seconds, it means that only now Fury can start to push towards and put pressure on the Chiefs bomb site. It doesn't give them much time to actually talk and set up and execute. And with some of these coordination issues, I'm not sure Fury can do this one.
Yeah, look, 4v5, 15 seconds. Just send it, boys. Give it your all. But Bouncin is there. He reads it perfectly. Takes down Producer Boom. Spacehead about to fall victim. Desperate drop into the site for Lycolis. Merits absolutely nothing. Dark. Well, his future looks pretty dark, and there you go. Back-to-back flawless rounds for the Chiefs. This is looking to be a very dominant match.
Might be history repeating itself a bit here, Dev. You said 7-0 to Chiefs, right? Stage 1 last year. It feels like we're almost on track for that again. I don't want to write Fury off too early, but 2 flawless rounds in a row against them is really not a great vibe, on top of all the things we've been pointing out in terms of the troubles of their form at the moment. This is certainly concerning, but we saw a couple of matches on Playday 1 that went out to the 3-0 leads, and they got brought back to be 3-3. So maybe there is still hope here for Fury if they can really figure out what's going wrong.
If anything, I'm confused as to why Fury haven't taken a tactical pause. You just lost 2 flawless rounds in a row. These rounds so far just looked really, really grim for Fury. They don't have a lot of direction. It's a bit confusing as a viewer to watch them and think, okay, what is their plan? And yeah, really, we're just getting questions raised watching this team. And it's not just questions about this game, but about the future of this squad as well. How will they place at the end of stage 1 if they continue to play like this? Will they continue to play like this?
Only time will tell for that one, but they have a pretty important deficit to start to fight against here. So, of course, Chiefs getting 3 rounds in a row means they're going to be back to kitchen, dining, bomb site for the defense. And look, they're going to change it up a little bit. They tried the direct approach last time. This time it's back to the El Clasico. Take library and try and push across. But, of course, Worthy, bit of an impact the last time this site was held. He's looking to roam and be elusive again over the end of the library side.
Look, I would back Worthy in for this one. The Fury players can be gunners, but with so far how the match has panned out, the Chiefs players are looking a lot more red hot than the Thai counterparts on Fury. Dark is in the building, not met with any contest as of yet. I think Lycolis a bit confused as to why that office wall is unreinforced, not able to use his exothermics on it. And in fact, there's no Zephyr, no Ash. So no remote breach ability for Fury. They'd have to rely on something, well, honestly, they don't really have anything that can safely breach this wall aside from the sledge. And indeed, Spacehead makes his way over, opens up that gaping line of sight. Not onto the bomb site, mind you. That's just onto office.
It is. And again, we're halfway through the round here, and Fury, they need to start really making some engagements happen, starting to push out these players on site. And already, this is better progress, at least, since round one. They've got this wall open into the main lobby and towards dining, so it sets up a much more comfortable execute for them instead of trying to force it over on from West Main or maybe even from Trophy. It looks better at this point, but there's still 5 Chiefs players alive. There's still a whole minute to play here, and the Chiefs aren't giving them any openings. They're staying very patient, and they're waiting for Fury to make their move.
I think Chiefs have, in that vein, realized the most effective strategy against Fury right now is just don't give them anything. Really, just do not give them the opportunity to find a kill. Because if you don't give Fury anything, they will stand around and wait for a very long time. Finally, first blood has been drawn. Fury finds it. Boydie goes down. But Chiefs still have 4 players left up, and Bouncing's looking for a flank.
Yep, this could be huge, and there it is. He finds one pick, and now Fury, that could stall them out. You know, they might be really concerned, and here it is, the vertical retake from Chiefs. This is going to make it so tough for Fury in his execute once more. They haven't been able to push themselves through this advantage. Final 20 seconds, almost giving themselves that advantage.
15 seconds to go.
Great frag there from Producer Boom. Can the refrag come through? Indeed, Worthy gets it, but now it's just him and Digital left alive. Dig has no smokes left, but, well, there's 2 seconds on the clock, and Fury trying to push him. There's no time. The round ends with 4 players left alive in the server, and Chiefs continue to stretch their lead.
This is a bit rough for Fury. That was a much better round from them. I mean, they tried to be a bit, I guess, more careful, not as reckless approaching side. Again, cast your mind back to round 1. We saw trades. We saw, I think, 4 players all die in that first minute and a half. This time, very different. It was a much more methodical approach. Completely other side of the map for Fury. It was better, but still wasn't enough. The Chiefs with the retake kind of put that pressure on Fury. They made this hasty decision to try and rush through to Kitchen for the execute. Ultimately, they just played into the hands of Digital, and Chiefs are still on this roll.
Wondering when they could be stopped. Again, Fury with the late round decision making. You've got to say, that must have been the wrong call. It was, what, a 3v2, a 4v2? And instead of trying to go for a passive plant, they were too scared about the plant denial potential from Chiefs, potentially through the vertical angles from Worthy. Maybe that's what they were worried about. No, for whatever reason, they decided to push deep. And look, when there's less than 5 seconds on the clock and you are trying to push a smoke player, I'm just telling you right now, you never win those. You never win those. That's what smoke was built for.
That's exactly what smoke was built for. And certainly prevailed in that instance. So Fury, they've got 2 more of these attack rounds. Can they make something happen here? That was looking cleaner. Look, I'll give them that. That looks like it was going to be a better opportunity for them to be able to close out at least one of these rounds. And look, if they manage to get this back to be a 2-4 half, I think that's, I don't know whether I'd call it a win, but that would feel salvageable to me. It feels like that they might be able to cut back that deficit on the defense, depending, of course, how Chiefs go on their attack. But my, oh my, it is still Chiefs excelling here on this defense. Bouncing's been able to find the opening. Worthy stacks up as well.
Oh, another one for Worthy. There you go. Double kill now on the round. 55 seconds in. Fury find themselves in a 2 versus 5. That potential 2-4 scoreline at the end of the half for Fury that you were doting upon doesn't look very possible any longer. Fury have really, really struggled to deal with the presence from Chiefs. When Fury want to get in the building fast and there's no one there, yeah, they look great. They look like they're making great use of time. But as soon as Chiefs are there to meet them, they just walk straight into their open arms.
Certainly so. 2v5. Can Spacehead and Hajime summon a bit of a miracle here? Still Chiefs completely undamaged at that through these engagements. Not a single bullet has landed. But time on Fury's side. They've got some decent position close to site here. If they can find a couple of openings, they might be able to make something like this happen.
Gemini activated.
Another moment where we
has
just
been
wait
located.
for Chiefs to hold on and for Fury to make their move. Really, in a 2v5, it would require a huge mistake from the Chiefs here to let this one slip.
Definitely would.
Attackers
Chiefs
have
is playing
recovered
very
their
patient
diffuser.
again, not giving Fury an inch. It's worked out so well for them in the past 4 rounds. And Fury, once more, obviously taking their time. They've got such a challenge ahead of them. And just gotta love this patience, honestly, from Chiefs. They're just really holding nice tight lines and good crossfires. It looks unlosable for them at the stage.
All right, Fury, what do you got for us? Spacehead hasn't found a kill yet this game. Hajime finds one, traded back, and Spacehead continues to be on a doughy 5 rounds in. The tactical pause is called about 3 rounds too late by Lycolis. And Fury, look, you better make good use of this because there is only one more chance to find a round on your attack.
There is. And look, this feels like it's coming a little bit too late. Like you said, that maybe after the 0-3 deficit that they had, they really should have called that tactical timeout. It was 2 flawless rounds in a row. You can see already it's just the body language in general. The vibes don't look great for Fury, really struggling to figure out how they can bring this one back. And look, we've seen stranger comebacks before. We've seen bigger comebacks before. It's totally possible. Just really need to figure out for themselves what is going wrong. There's something that obviously we're not privy to either. We're not hearing the comms. You know, I feel like it's a coordination-based thing and just a bit unsure of how they should be tackling things.
Support player Lycolis giving a lot of the... Oh, Producer Boom's in for it as well. Really expressing his feelings on what's going wrong. Spacehead, who's typically the tip of the spear for this team. The gunner just listening to the leadership within the team. Fury have no more second chances. And what should be an attacker-sided meta and what should be an attacker-sided map.
Defenders, protect your bombs from
They
being
are
defused by attackers.
0-5 against the Chiefs. What a confidence booster for this Oceanic roster as well, who have just looked so good without having to be pushed at all. Without ever feeling an iota of pressure, the Chiefs have essentially done the exact same thing. Every single time they return to a bomb site, it's what the same 5 operators that we see, and that pattern, I believe, does continue here. Indeed, back-to-bar games. They've won this before, easy as you like. Same 5 ops, same setup. No need to change anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, no, definitely don't need to change anything. This site in particular was probably the strongest defense we saw from Chiefs.
Attackers are
And
heading out to
again,
defuse the bomb.
it's hard to say whether it's just the Chiefs playing really well, Fury really struggling. Casting my mind back to this one, we saw a very passive Fury on this attack. They took a lot of time coming across from the Master Office side. So what I would love to see from Fury this time is either approach site slightly differently or even just approach it with a little bit more haste. You know, they had the map controls through Master and Office available to them a lot earlier than when they took up that control. So I'd just like to see a different approach, but that is kind of what we're seeing. They look a lot more spread out this time around. Maybe trying to put a bit more pressure over on the southwest side of the map this time.
Drone ready. Having adrenaline boost.
Again, I'll say it, it's been an uncharacteristically rough game for some of the top fraggers, or the usual top fraggers, the usual suspects on Fury, Spacehead in particular. We've seen him drop 20 bombs before. We've seen him be the saving grace of this roster, and, well, he hasn't found a kill so far. Digital's also found an early one onto Hajime. Now, Dark, live droned ahead. He needs to be the front runner for his team. He needs to find something to bring this back into the realm of possibility for Fury.
Certainly does, but that is not going to help the case. Producer Boom, he's out of the game entirely right now, and Chiefs 5 versus 3 lead. We've got to the halfway point yet again. Fury in a slightly better position, but still there's some tricky positions on Chiefs to flush out. They've still got shields up their sleeves to hide behind. And again, they're still taking out that library control. So you can take Master, you can take Office, but some of that vertical pressure that you need through Library is very critical, and Fury need to start working to push this out a little bit better.
Boosting adrenaline.
All right, 3v5. What are you going to do? I don't think Chiefs are going to feed here. They're playing very restrained. And I don't know if this is giving Fury respect or just acknowledging that they don't need to do anything. They're not antsy. These players are not desperate to find kills. They don't care who finds the pick. They just want to win the game. Worthy's taking out Dark. Spacehead and Lycolis. Last two left. Lycolis finds one. Not bad. And a strong power position eliminated there at Big Pillar at the top of Fireplace. But Ethan is still holding on to the stairs here around Library. Droned out. Spacehead. No nades remaining for him. 15 seconds left on the clock, just about. Let's see if Spacehead can find his first kill. Ethan falls back. 4 players left alive for the Chiefs. They can wait patiently. It really doesn't matter. There's no stakes for them. This is going to be a 6-0 half. Can Spacehead even find a kill? Oh my God, Lycolis for the double. But when you leave it too late, there's no way you can plant that diffuser. And 6-0 match point. Speedrunning from the Chiefs.
Certainly a speedrunning. Got one attack round to win here, and then they can just take the rest of the night off. This is certainly something the Chiefs are going to be happy about, because they did struggle a little bit on Playday 1. Look, it wasn't a bad loss against Direwolves on Playday 1, but still, a loss is a loss. No points from that one. They're facing down 3 points here, and look, I think they are going to feel confident they can get the job done. But for Fury, at least it can feel like some kind of refresh, right? They can change halves, go to the defense side. Look, maybe that will give them some degree of comfort, and they can just absolutely smash out the 6-0 on their own and push this to OT.
Yeah, that's totally going to happen. Yeah, that's definitely looking likely. I mean, I'm the one who's going to look silly because I'm the only one out of all of us on the desk who predicted Fury to win this game. Don't know why I did that. I'm looking a little bit silly now, but I can't wait to get tweeted at by the Chiefs boys, and look, I'll soak up whatever it is that I deserve to after not having faith that the boys would pull through. But look, if there's anyone we should be disappointed in right now, it is Fury. What on earth is going on?
It would be great to find that one out. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get to speak to them after the game, really. But I don't know, it's certainly a concerning sign for Fury. You know, it's not like they had a bad 2021. I know we talked a lot about it on Playday 1. While they did finish 5th overall, they were literally 1 win away from finishing 2nd for the whole year. And this is quite the implosion for them. And to highlight the fact that they haven't really made a roster change, perhaps they should have. You know, it's certainly an interesting little argument based on the form that we're seeing so far.
And there was a moment, I believe it was in stage 2, if not stage 3, where Fury were the #1 team in APAC South. I think it was, what, 4 Playdays in or so? They hadn't lost yet, and they'd beaten some really big teams, including the Chiefs. That was just before they had that really shocking loss to IG. Was it a 7-0 or a 7-1 on Cafe, if you remember that game, where Speakeasy went nuts?
Yep.
So we've seen that Fury, I mean, this is not a pushover team. And these players have so much potential. They've played at many LANs before. Not international, not global LANs, but they played at APAC level LANs before. They have experience. But they're just not showing it right now.
Definitely not. And look, they're trying to play some interesting little aggression here on Chiefs, and this could work out. It's a bit of a risky play. There it is, Lycolis. Big shotgun kill onto Boydie. Boydie's been pretty sharp for Chiefs so far in his appearance in stage 1. And they have been able to at least trade it in a different direction. It's bouncing coming through for Chiefs on that one. And first 90 seconds down. We're even standing at the moment for this round.
If I'm Chiefs, I'd probably take that trade. You've just taken down the smoke player from Fury. Now, yes, you have lost some nades from Boydie, and nades are very powerful, especially for the Solarium take that Chiefs appear to be going for. You want to be using those nades to clear the stairs or clear positions like this. Let's see if this is going to work out. Oh, see you later, Lycolis. Nice one for Ethan. Making great use of the second last grenade that Chiefs have in their arsenal, but I don't think they're going to need any more. This game could well be over in the next 30 seconds.
Certainly could be. Hajime tagged up big there. Dark also already lost half his HP. Lost all of it now. All on Dark's shoulders in this 1v4. Fury could be facing the barrel of a 0-7 loss on Playday 2 of Stage 1.
Give it your all, Dark. What have you got for us? It's a 4v1. And the Chiefs dabbing on the haters right now, quelling any doubts of their new revitalized roster. People said, don't make roster changes. They said, how about a 7-0? Fury caught absolutely sleeping. And the Chiefs, well, they'll have a laugh about that one.
All except for Boydie. I don't think he even mustered up the emotion to get through the game. But,
Is he capable of laughter? I don't think I've ever seen him laugh.
I just
Crack a smile. Oh, don't get too excited, Boydie.
Love that. No, look, very, very good game from Chiefs. Very clean. Honestly, they played that super well. You can talk about maybe Fury didn't step up to the plate in their capacity, but the Chiefs never let them. They capitalized on every mistake that Fury were making. They played a very patient, disciplined game, which I think was a really fantastic sign for Chiefs. This is quite the statement here on Playday 2.
That it is. The Chiefs, they, like I said, have quelled some of the doubts surrounding their roster shuffle. A lot of people said that this team has gone from being a 6th place in Oceania team in 2020 to being the undisputed back-to-back champions within OCE and Sweden major representatives. They had some phenomenal performances through APAC South and APAC playoffs last year. Why would you make roster changes? Well, if you can pick up a gunner like Bouncin, if you can pick up someone like Boydie and see what they bring to the table, then sure, go for it. Chiefs looking very, very good. And what a great confidence booster. I feel like every team that makes a big roster shuffle like that, they need a game like this under their belt just to say, yeah, look what we can do.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's like, I guess externally it looks like justification, but internally, you know, it feels good to get those wins under the belt, right? I think this is definitely one. We talked about it in the pre-show. The Des talked about it as well. This is one of those games that Chiefs definitely favored coming into it. It's the kind of points they need to be banking in if they want to be thinking about APAC playoffs once more, even thinking about making it to the major. So for them to come out and secure not only the 3 points, but to secure a 7-0 with their roster looking like it's gelling really well. Their coordination was on point, discipline there. And yeah, look, some of the new gunners, for example, Bouncin, he's been performing fantastically. He was a star for them on Playday 1, even though they managed to lose. He was still the 3rd highest rated player for the day. And here he is again on Playday 2, doing a really big performance. I think Chiefs definitely have to feel good about some of the moves that they've made at this point.